What's good YouTube? And welcome to the house. We have a bit of a special guest here today and his deck list, so why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you've done?
Hi, my name is Douglas Haddad, or better known as the Captain, and I piloted Plunder Patrol through the PPG's top 8 of their Players' Championship.
And you've been playing this deck for a while, right?
I actually also topped 4 of the weeklies with Plunder Patrol as well. Being last week's on Thursday, I was able to get second place.
Alright, let's go ahead and get through the list. If for those wondering, we do have a single card on screen at a time. If you want to access the list, it's down below in the description, but I'd rather go through this way, and hopefully you stick around for his tournament experience, and also his reasoning for choices in this deck, because he's been doing pretty well with it.
So, starting off, we have Bluebeard, the Plunder Patrol Shipwright, and Goldenhair, the newest Plunder Patrol, quite literally her name. These two originally came from Eternity Code, the newest set, and they act as extenders for the deck, being able to go into more complicated plays or even being able to plus off of certain aspects or attributes that your opponent may have given you during the match. With Bluebeard, starting off with him, he simply summons from the hand if you control another Plunder Patrol. Now, this is an activated effect, so instead of just, it's not a Cyber Dragon, it's not inherent, you actually have to activate it. But you also have Goldenhair as well, who has the ability of sending a Plunder Patrol monster from the hand to summon for free on the board. And it doesn't stop you, it doesn't lock you right there, it only locks you with its grave effect. Which, discard a card, summon her from the grave, locked into Plunder Patrol.
Yeah, one thing I've been actually playing for fun, I have a series I plan to do probably called Decks That Don't Suck, and it's decks that don't necessarily go to the top of the meta, but I enjoy playing a lot, and what I've been enjoying is PK Plunder for the extra discard effects getting advantage, but also, this is just an exceptional extender when it comes down to it.
Especially being able to go into certain plays that I'll be able to explain later after the extra deck has been shown.
Alrighty.
Continuing off, we have our one of our favorites, Redbeard, the Plunder Patrol matey, who actually shares a very similar effect to Whitebeard, which is during your opponent's turn, you can special summon a Plunder Patrol from your extra deck with the same attribute as your monster, as a monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. Then you basically equip them or tag them out into the spell and trap zone and summon your monster. So a very interesting thing to do, or one of my favorite plays to go through, is simply a activated Pot of Desires or even one of the field spell. Your opponent will eventually ash you, and at that point you're actually able to take advantage with that ash, being able to plus off more than people expect, and create a new way of getting rid of certain spells or traps that might be in your way. With that being said, Redbeard's second effect, which he doesn't share with Whitebeard, is when he's sent to the graveyard from hand or in the monster zone, he's actually able to equip or tag on to one of your other Plunder Patrol monsters on the field, being able to generate certain advantages or abilities that people might not expect. Speaking of other cards, next on the list we have Silent Angler. Simple monster, he does act like a Cyber Dragon. He's an inherent summon, hits the field when you control water. It might create a bit of a lock or a bit of a mishap with Bluebeard, since he also summons from the hand. But regardless, the card's just there mostly for extension, and I believe it or not, I actually side out a couple of these when I go into side decking, which will come up later. Next, we have Whitebeard, the Plunder Patrol Helm. His effect, same as Redbeard. The second effect, however, is not shared. When he hits the graveyard from hand or monster zone, he's actually able to summon from the deck another Plunder Patrol. But with that being said, he also locks you into Plunder Patrol. It's a great effect. It's wonderful for extension and going off and various other plays you can do. And then next we have the spell and trap lineup for the main deck. I chose to go with removal. So Cosmic Cyclone, Lightning Storm, and Evenly, which you'll see a little later down on the list, really became important cards due to the fact that this deck was better at going second, or going against decks that have more of a built-up board, because of the fact that these removal cards are able to just stop them in their tracks. Mostly, I was worried about Ultrageist. So By adding in all these extra back row disruption cards, it's really a good time. Moving on from the Cosmic, we have 3 copies of Emblem of the Plunder Patrol. It's a very interesting equip spell, and it's actually very, very good, involving what it does, but nobody knows what it does, so they all ask to read it. The effect, it can only be equipped to a Plunder Patrol monster. The monster gains 500, and it becomes untargetable by card effects, by your opponent's card effects. The secondary effect, however, is what makes this card a lot better than what it seems. So you send the equipped card to grave, the monster, then you summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck as though you were tagging out, with an attribute same attribute as on the field or in the graveyard involving monsters. Then you take the monster that was equipped with the equip spell and turn it into a spell or trap. Put it into the spell and trap zone. Then it also makes the monster equipped to the summoned monster from the extra deck have the following effect, saying the monster gains 500 attack. Believe it or not, that comes up a lot more than people expect when it comes to knocking out your opponents or beating them in a single turn. So the wonderful thing about this equip spell is simply being able to also take advantage of what's going on in the field and grave. Simply put, if your opponent uses any kind of hand trap, like effect failure on one of your certain plays, you're able to come back with it and make one of the best fusions I've ever seen. Next down the line, we have Lightning Storm. Again, back row clearance, getting rid of opponents' boards if they have to set them up. Next is Plunder Patrol Shapeshift Shipping.
So every card up till now has been a 3 of, by the way. This is our first 2 of.
Yep. The reason for the 2 of, running 3 is too much simply because you'll clog up with it. And running 1, I believe, is a bad idea simply because of the idea of being able to constantly eliminate cards, as you'll see down later in the line. It's a fusion spell, first and foremost, to summon a Fiend Fusion monster, but all the time it'll be less. Its secondary effect, however, when it's engraved, you can banish it, then you target a Plunder Patrol monster you control on the field. You either equip the equip spell, Emblem of the Plunder Patrol, or a Plunder Patrol monster that you might want to even summon out later on. It's only once. You can only use it once per turn, but the idea is to either draw it and discard it for fodder for the field spell to grab more of your important playmakers, or simply put, you make a list with it hard mode. Summon, fuse out with your hand, summon an actual monster, and then gain effects off the monster's grave effects. Like, for example, you can use the fusion spell to fuse off Whitebeard and Bluebeard, being able to not only summon list your best monster effect negation, but at that point you could stop an Ash by the effects of your Whitebeard and Bluebeard. Drawing a card, summoning from deck, and continuing with your plays. Next, we're going to go to the other 3 of field spell, which is Plunder Patrol Shipyard. This card's not fair. I will say this card has put in too much work for the deck, and if it ever got hit, I'd be super sad. So Plunder Patrol Shipyard, simply put, all Plunder Patrol monsters you control on your field gain 500 attack for each Plunder Patrol card in your spell and trap zone. So while the field spell is up and you constantly tag out with your monsters, the monsters you summon constantly keep gaining more and more attack, making them into these massive beat sticks that takes a lot to get rid of.
Yeah, people would be extremely surprised at how actually thick some of these monsters end up getting. Like you said earlier, the 500 mattering from the equip spell, like other factors come into play here that just make these monsters ginormous.
Mm-hmm. I've been able to get lists up to 5,000 during the tournament at one point. I was able to make a full board, and I was able to OTK my opponent's board just by summoning off and using my opponent's resources as my own. Other effects of the card has, it's the searcher of the deck, so you can discard a card and add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand. And then its grave effect, which is really interesting and comes up with an interesting play that I'll tell you soon. If the field spell is engraved, you can target a Plunder Patrol card in your spell and trap zone. You set the field spell, and then you bounce the card back to hand. So at first glance, it's like, oh, it's good recovery, but it actually creates a lot of vital combos that you might need in order to go off. So for example, you could have, here we go. So you could normal summon Golden Hair, for example, special summon Bluebeard, you have the field spell in hand, and maybe even the fusion spell, right? You could link away, make Bluebeard, effect of not Bluebeard, make Blackbeard, effective Bluebeard, summon on, discard. At that point, you discard the fusion spell, draw one card. At that point, you'd activate Golden Hair's effect, discard the field spell from hand, summon her off, activate the fusion spell's effect, secondary effect, to banish to equip to the Golden Hair. At that point, you can use the field spell effect, bounce the equip card back to your hand, and set the field spell. So not only have you created a board with 2 monsters on it that could easily create more disturbance for your opponent, but now you're gaining more resources and advantages off of recycling your resources.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like the ability to just like pick apart things within archetype without relying on other stuff like, oh yeah, pitch the PK, get an advantage. Instead, you're working off of what you're actually given here.
Mm-hmm. The next 3 on the deck list was Pot of Desires. I actually prefer it running at 3 currently, especially because you can always get rid of another one in your hand if you have to with Golden Hair, Bluebeard, or even the field spell. So it's never really a loss. The one salvage has come to save me a million times. If I could run it at 2, I would, but due to the limited space and the consistency you want with the deck, you'd only want to run 1. Simply because being able to go into Blackbeard or even making the fusion and then adding your resources back is very vital for the play style of this deck. A Plunder Patrol player without a hand is usually a bad Plunder Patrol player. That's what I would say. And being able to add resources back is just vital. Terraforming at 1, of course, add the field spell. Next on the list, we have Evenly Matched. This card actually came in very clutch for the tournament for me, especially going against Altergeist. I think I played 2 or 3.
Yeah, I saw you maxing this, so would you play this under a normal format, or is it more of a, if you don't go first option, or do you prefer going second?
So, I will say this about the list. This list is definitely dedicated to the PPG tournament's ban list that they had enforced. Well, not enforced, but was required. If I had to change the list, honestly, just change out 3 Lightning Storm or 3 Cosmic for Dark Ruler no more. And make it a going. This is definitely for going second. But if you add Dark Ruler no more to this list by either removing your backer removal of Lightning Storm or Cosmic, not the Evenly, this would definitely be a solid list. But
so overall, you prefer going second?
Yeah, with this list currently, yes. There is another list that I played on my first free weekly, and that list actually had Krishron. How do you pronounce his name? The Needle Fiber.
Yeah, that's fine to say here. I don't Halifibrex, Halkifibrex, whatever you want to call it. Noodle Fuber's fine here too.
But yeah, the combo variant is also a very good variant as well. Is a very good type of style as well of play, simply because you're able to make more negation with it. So it's really dependent on your play style as a player.
All right, let's focus on finishing up the list first. We still have quite a few cards to go through the side and extra.
The final 3 of Trap-wise in the main deck is Plunder Patrol Booty. This card is awesome if you have to play against any deck that requires more than 1 turn of knocking out, such as a grindy deck like Salamangreat or even Altergeist. So the idea of the trap, it's a Call of the Haunted or a Recycler that gives you more advantage. So the effect of the card is you declare an attribute, target a face-up monster your opponent controls. So the monster at that point then becomes the attribute you call, like fire, dark, or light, important attributes you'll see later on. Then you either take a Plunder Patrol monster from your grave and either shuffle it into the deck or special summon it. There's no targeting with it, so Called by the Grave can't stop this card right away. You can still summon a monster out. Yeah, it's a great trap card. I highly recommend searching it. However, make sure to remember, during the end phase, if you control no Plunder Patrol monsters, it will go to grave. So it's not the best for saving your plays. It's more for expanding them and even, breaking up your opponent's board.
All right, let's go to the extra deck first here.
Of course. First, you have 2 copies of Fusion Monster, Liss. He's really broken. To simply put, he can either you discard. So all the Plunder Patrol monsters in the extra deck besides Blackbeard share the idea of cost of discarding a Plunder Patrol card. That's why you want to see a Plunder Patrol player with cards in their hand. They'll usually have something to discard. So this monster's effect is either during the main phase, quick effect, so both players' turns. You can summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your spell and trap zone or from your hand onto the board. This enables you to do certain things such as saving monsters in order to enable more combos, or you're able to, more often than not, expand your plays and even break your opponent's board through. And then the other effect is you can discard a Plunder Patrol card when your opponent activates a monster effect, negate the activation, and then you can destroy it. Then the secondary effect of this card is if it's equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, you can actually add another Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand. It searches anything. Whitebeard, the Field Spell, Fusion, even Booty. It's a great card.
So not only do you get a negate, you get a resource. So the first time I read this card, like when it initially revealed, I was just like, holy crap, they got everything rolled into one card that they could have wanted.
Yep, and it's just a great card and an awesome extender when you need it. The next card on the list is Emancipator Risen Dragite. This card's really funny to make if you're playing against either Altergeist or Mystic Mine Burn, which I did play in the tournament. I was able to beat out, luckily, because of this card. Simply because you'll always have Waters in the Grave due to making this. Another card we have on the list, or the next card, is Plunder Patrol Bran. So this is the card that you would summon off an opponent's Ash or Fire monster. So it's really simple. All the Fiend monsters you control in the field gain 500 attack, so it boosts everyone else. And its second effect is you can discard a Plunder Patrol card from your hand. Then target a spell or trap your opponent controls, banish it. Then, this is the fun part, at that point, you can also add a Plunder Patrol monster from your deck to your hand. So not only does this card get rid of annoying back row that you might come across, it's also an extender in its own self, as well as the Fusion and the XCs.
Yeah, this actually checks Eldritch pretty well when you have to play against it.
This deck has an amazing Eldritch matchup. I will say that for sure. The best part about this card, if you have a Plunder Patrol monster equipped to this card, it's a quick effect. So you're able to drop this during your opponent's turn and get rid of, say, Cursed Eldland and then plus off of it. It's a really good card. Fantastic. Next card we have on the list is White Aura Whale. So this card's really funny because you're actually able to board wipe certain decks that just can't stop you, due to the fact that the monsters that you use to summon this usually create a chain link, making you able to resolve your White Aura Whale without it being negated by like Appaloosa or even Borlo Dragon, Savage Dragon. Excuse me. It can attack twice. When it's summoned, you can destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls. It can make 2 attacks on monsters during the battle phase, and if it attacks something in defense, it does piercing, so it's a really good battler. As well, if it's destroyed by an opponent's card, battle, or card effect and sent to the grave, you can banish another water monster in your grave and summon it for free. And it's actually hysterical when I've had people do this. Because, I played against Unchained. They went off, popped the whale, and then I just resummoned him and destroyed their board once again, preventing them from polishing off my board, to say. It's a really good card, and I highly recommend it. Next card on the list with XCs is Abyss Dweller. Simply put, just anything graveyard related or might need the graveyard. Next is Exciton Knight. I actually never made this monster during the tournament, and I would highly recommend getting rid of this for something else. Plunder Patrol Moiric. The other XCs of the Plunder Patrols requiring a dark attribute to tag out into, or just make usual. So the effect of this monster is that you're able to discard a Plunder Patrol card, target an effect monster your opponent controls, banish it. So it doesn't work against vanillas or tokens, which could be annoying, but this card is amazing nonetheless, especially for removal, getting rid of opponents' boards. And then not only is it removal, but you also get to add any Plunder Patrol spell or trap from your deck. So it's the opposite of Bran, or the Synchro. And just like Bran, if it has a Plunder Patrol card equipped to it, it's a quick effect as well. The secondary effect of it, though, if it has Xyz materials, you're actually able to. It's a ding, so you're able to protect your board. Ding Girsu. You're able to detach, protect your cards. It's a solid card nonetheless. Next on the list, we have Tornado Dragon. Simple card. It's just in case you open Redbeard and Bluebeard in hand. So you'd be able to normal summon and still get rid of a spell and trap that's in your way while not needing to make Brand, the Synchro. Next, we have the best card in the deck and my favorite card ever, Blackbeard, the Plunder Patrol Captain. So this card, material-wise, making it is just 2 monsters, including a Plunder Patrol monster. So I've had people Nibiru me all day at that tournament, and I've been able to revive Golden Hair, link away the token, and just make another Blackbeard. It's an awesome card. But its effects are actually what make it really good. So, like Whitebeard and Redbeard, it has the effect to tag out, but instead you target an effect monster you control. So you can target himself, you can target another Redbeard, Fusion, Xyz, anything you control. You can target it. Then you summon, like Whitebeard or Redbeard, a monster from your extra deck with an attribute to something your opponent has on their field or grave. But then you get to draw a card, which is really good because the idea of being able to plus off of summoning off and tagging into these various monsters is amazing. You can even tag out into itself if you have to. It's best card in the whole deck. If you make this and your opponent is foolish enough to give you anything to summon, they're in for a bad time. Best card in the deck. Then we have the last 2 extra deck monsters, which are simple to explain. Salamangreat Almirage and Secure Gardna. The reasoning behind these cards is if you open Golden Hair and the equip spell or the fusion spell, you're able to end your board with a Secure Gardna and the either the fusion or the synchro, Liss or Bran. So the idea.
And by the way, for the extra deck, for those keeping up, every single plunder in the extra is a 2-up.
Mm-hmm. Highly recommended. I would not recommend running any of them at 1 or at 3. 2 is perfect enough because you also have the ability to recycle them back due to the trap card, Booty. So the Salamangreat, Almirage, and Secure Gardna play, as a side note, can only be done with Golden Hair, simply because you need a monster with 1,000 or less attack. Going into the side deck, Nibiru at 3, simply because running into decks that make crazy monsters, such as like Mech Knight, Invoked, or something along those lines, it can be really annoying just to not be able to stop them in time, so that's why the card came in. Next on the list is Radion, the multidimensional kaiju. This card's actually really, really good to drop on certain decks that need boss monsters or decks that lock you out of things. For example, my final round of day 1, I played against Altergeist. And the guy dropped, game 2, he drops an Inspector board, which would have ended me. Luckily for my idea and my thinking, I actually threw in the Radion, drew it, top decked it, dropped it on the border, and was able to get rid of his board entirely. It's a solid card. Called by the Grave, next card. This card, I would highly recommend if you expect to be going first, especially if hand traps involved. So, for example, I played against Salamangreat, I believe, round 4 or 5. Called by the Grave, great to stop Ash, simply because Ash can stop Blackbeard or the field spell that you might need to use for plays later on. Dark Ruler No More, again, monster boards that are really strong. So I actually played against a Rocket player, and we tied. That was my round 1 tie. Dark Ruler No More came in very clutch against that opponent. And then the final card, which is a pointer of the Red Lotus. Again, it's a card for if you expect to go first, and you're playing against such as Dino or Mech Knight Invoked. Just ripping something out of the hand that might stop your plays is excellent in all terms.
I just want to wrap back here for the viewers. What makes you choose Radian over the other kaijus?
It's attribute. Thank you for asking that, actually. I just skipped over that. The attribute of being dark, giving your opponent a dark kaiju, summoning Blackbeard, and then making Moiric for free, getting rid of the kaiju and adding more to your hand is awesome alone. I would also recommend running the Fire Kaiju if you plan to expect to see more of back row decks such as Altergeist or I don't know Paleo Frog, something like that. Simply for the idea of being able to make into necessary cards that get rid of cards on your board, such
And
as
also, just to note, this usually will be able to beat over Dogoron also, because 3K, like Brand, is going to be able to start to get up thanks to the field spell and other factors, usually.
that is right. That is right. If I do you have any more questions, John?
Yeah, do you want it to go over anything specific that you haven't already from your tournament experience?
Um, I will say, the tournaments are being ran very smoothly by the people running it. So I would say PPG is doing a great job in their runnings, especially involving rulings and even disputes that players might have. When it comes to opponents, I will say that the best opponent I played in that tournament, besides a guy I lost to in top 8, had to be my final opponent, the one playing Altergeist. He was simply a gentleman, and I will say it was an overall great tournament experience. Fantastic. I will say this: the list is definitely going to get modified, without a doubt, for future events, especially because of what's going on with PPG and abolishing the ban list. So it's really it's a wonderful deck, and nothing else I could say about it.
All right, and finally, any shoutouts?
Of course, shout outs to Team Playmakers, the team I'm on. Love them. Adam, you're fantastic. Shout outs to my best buddy Ty. He's awesome testing partner and the lord of Sci-Frames. Again, thanks to all my teammates for helping me out and helping me test for all these events. And thank you to Michelle, my girlfriend. She was fantastic. She was probably the biggest help I could have ever asked for. She was always there for me at any time.
All right, well, I super appreciate it, man. Thanks for sharing, and should have this up tomorrow.
Thank you so much for the interview, and thank you, everybody, for checking out this list and this channel. Check out Team Playmakers and check out House of Champs. Woo!
I'll have that link down in the description below. Thank you.
You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.